Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order, and if we could stand and pledge allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joan, you have the roll recorded? Very good. John, presentations and updates.
Okay, well, Mr. President, you know this is the last meeting for a number of our board members, and we have at their seats some presentations and some awards that they've received for their service to the community in the capacity of a school board member. Two individuals, I think, deserve special recognition for their length of service, and that would be Dr. Volcano and also Mr. Riley. And they've been recognized by the School Boards Association for 12 years, and they were given a plaque that is at their seats. They're recognizing that. And so first of all, the length of service, I think, is very significant and important to all of us who are involved with public schools, because this is not an easy job, as everyone knows. And 12 years is certainly a long milestone in anyone's career on a school board, and we greatly appreciate that. Tonight, we're also presenting these individuals with a token of our appreciation and the small paperweight that's there at your seat, and also certificates of appreciation, which are at your seats as well. And we also have a cake and coffee back there that we'd like to distribute in honor of the occasion and if you will, in gratitude for the service of all of you. This is, again, not an easy job to fill, and each one of you leaves with our best wishes for great success and perhaps even further public service in the future. So on a personal level, I want to thank each and every one of you for making my return to Easton very comfortable and very welcome, and I greatly appreciate that, and I will remember that always. So thank you very much, each of you. Appreciate that.
If I could, I would just like to say thank you to everybody who supported me along the way and helped me get into this position. It's been an honor and really a privilege to sit in this seat. It's been an honor 100% of the time. It's been a headache about 20% of the time, I guess. I don't know. But it is very difficult. It's very, very hard. And, you know, for those of you sitting out there wondering what you can do to help, get involved, you know, come to the meetings, you know, think about running for the board, think about how you can get involved, because it takes a lot of people to run a school district. Everybody who works in the district affects kids. It's really a community, and it would help if more people got involved, even in the slightest of ways. You can make a big difference, even if you don't think so. You do. So thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank
would
you.
just like to say, I wasn't planning on running. We had no one that was going to run. I put my name on the ballot, and my wife found somebody, Frank found somebody, and they put their petitions in the last minute. I would have withdrawn, but I was in the hospital on the withdrawal date, and I couldn't physically withdraw. Otherwise, I wouldn't have run. But thinking that there was nobody from this Region 2, and I like to say or repeat what Janet said, that it's very difficult at times. This is not an easy board. Whatever you do, 50% of the people like you, and 50% of the people don't. When I first got into politics, this is my 40th year in public service, and it's time I retire. I remember Dr. Smith, who was a former mayor of Easton. He says, "Pat, you'll be sworn in one day and sworn at the next." And that pretty much happened. And I was sworn in Easton as a councilman, and by the next day, I had people complaining. And I didn't even do anything. So I'd like to thank the cohorts that I have with Dr. Moskaitis, my running mate for 3 times, Tim and Janet. I think the 4 of us all added something to this board, and we made friends that probably for a lifetime, and we feel part of this school system, and we'll always feel part. And I thank you for the certificates and the pictures and so forth. I think they're fabulous. And time, but they say all good things will come to an end. I don't know if this is a good thing, because it's a lot of hard work. And some nights we were here to midnight. And I'm leaving with no malice towards none, and actually looking forward to somewhat of a retirement, even though I'm going to stay a little active in CIT on their foundation and so forth. And I get 3 more years on the NCC board, and I'm going to finish those hopefully if my health holds up. And it's been rough for me because of my health. The last year and a half, it has not been too good. But I didn't want to resign because I'm not a quitter. So even though the board said that maybe that should be the case, but after 40 years of service, and actually 60 concurrently, I think I need a rest. And so I am going to take a rest and not quickly get involved in things. That's for sure. I'm not going to leave one. Should I say? One hole and go into another one. At times, this could be very taxing. And I mean that both ways.
On the
So,
screen,
thank
you
you.
see a list of the accomplishments of our board members. This is Dr. Volcano. This is, there's some way we can scroll back there a little bit. There's Mrs. Matthews, Dr. Moskaitis, Tim Riley. You can see that not only have they made it to these meetings, but they've also represented the community on many other committees throughout the time that they've been serving on the board. So it's far beyond just one night or 2 nights a month. And there's Dr. Volcano's list of accomplishments. Now, I think it's really important that since we have the opportunity, that we give each of you a round of applause, and that we ask our special guest, the Red Rover, to come and shake your hand. All right? Very good.
How you doing, Red Rover? You lost a couple teeth in the middle there. Okay, take care.
Hey, Red Rover, how are you?
No,
There you go.
You get a
There you
kiss.
go.
Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Dr. Moskaitis over there.
Dr. Moskaitis.
Rest up for the big game.
All right, thank you very much, and
Take care.
appreciate that very much. And Carol, would you like to begin to cut the cake apart there? And anybody who would like to participate, you're welcome to cake. We're going to cut that up now. So that was our presentations for our board members. Mr. President, if you like, I can continue on with a few more. You might all remember that last month there was some publicity in the paper surrounding a coat giveaway, if you will, that involved our students in the local Easton Fire Company and Local 713. And I would like firefighter Corcoran, if he's present, if he could come forward. I appreciate that.
Sir, he's not present, but we're here in his place. Companion, Mark Jessamine.
All right, very good. Thank you for coming this evening. What we have is an opportunity here to say thank you to the local for being partners in this great enterprise of providing, I think it's called Operation Warmth, and it's just terrific. And anyone who was nearby and saw the kids and saw their expressions on their faces with the new coats knows exactly what we're talking about. We can't thank you enough for doing what you've done. So on behalf of all of us, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next thing I'd like to do, this is on a personal level because having arrived at the district and having an opportunity to get a feel for our football games and the excitement that goes with all of that tradition, the traditions in Easton, I must say that my wife and I were very impressed by the amount of energy and a performance level of someone in this room. And so on a personal level, I must say to you that I was absolutely amazed that game after game, this individual risked his health and safety by romping around the stadium in what one would say is a very limited ability to see. And having had the experience of having something like that on my head at one point, I can testify that when you're underneath that, you cannot sense where you are and how far you are from the ground or the nearest tree or the nearest wire that's across the ground. And so what I did see was someone who's very confident and very well versed in being a mascot with tremendous flair and energy. And so it's a personal desire on my part to recognize Chris Biugi, who has been the person behind the and under the head. And Chris, if you just come forward, we'd love to recognize your dedication to the high school. Is it? Would it be possible for you to go get out of character for a minute? What do you think, Mr. Cook? What do you think? All right. Yeah, there you go. All right. All right. Very good. Very good. And once again, as somebody sitting in the stands watching you perform. It's quite obvious that you took this job very seriously. And when we were at away games, even you took upon yourself the opportunities to connect with the people who were there observing the game and the fans who are not connected with the high school now. Older folks, younger folks, and I just thought that was terrific. And that is something you don't see everywhere. And I really congratulate you for that. You represent the high school and our whole community with great professionalism and a good sense of humor, too. So
Thank you.
Congratulations on the job well done.
If I could just say something really quick.
Sure.
It was a privilege and honor to be the Red Rover mascot for Easton. I mean, the tradition here goes back longer than all of us.
Right.
So it really is a privilege and honor. And if you want to get involved, and if you want to be there for the school district, you need to get involved. I say that to students, I'll say that to you guys, I'll say that to everybody. Just get involved. Put your face out there like we've seen the past couple of months and so forth, and you'll make a difference. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Chris.
Mr. Reinhardt, one
Yes.
of the comments you made that when
Yes.
you put the outfit on, you were looking for a tree. I was just wondering because the dog outfit and
Yeah, I don't.
looking for a
Well,
tree.
you know, I'm not sure that you could draw the parallel for need there with the trees, but I can tell you that the trees do pop up occasionally that you're not sure where you're heading. So you take your life in your own hands when you're wearing that. Am I right,
just wanted
Chris?
you to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Volcano. I appreciate that. Next, we have a group of individuals who have excelled in ways that are very commendable at the high school in academic ways. And I want to acknowledge these individuals at this point in time because they have distinguished themselves by being part of a very exclusive group of high school seniors across the United States of America. And I'm talking about those individuals who have placed in the commended or in the National Honor Society Merit Scholar competition. And I wish that I could tell you and give you the numbers offhand of how selective this group is. But trust me when I tell you that earning a commendation or earning a place as a Merit Scholar is a tremendous underscoring of one's academic achievement and ability. And I am very pleased to say that I think we have 6 commended students from the high school, and we have 1 person who placed as a Merit Scholar. So we have 7 individuals who have achieved tremendously high academic recognition, and I hope most of them, if not all of them, are here this evening with their parents. So in no particular order, could I ask Laura Rosenbauer to come forward? Is Laura here? Okay, we'll have to see that she gets this. Connor Millett. There he is. Connor, come up, please. Matthew, is it Gauntis? Matt?
Thank you.
Matthew? No? Jacob Alfieri? Jake? Okay. Navya Dandu. Okay. Margaret Farrell. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for
Great
coming
job.
this evening to be honored.
Congratulations.
Greatly appreciate
Have
it.
a waist his size. wouldn't it?
Congratulations.
Oh, my God.
Congratulations, sir. And could you share with us, do you have your plan set for next year? Either one of you? Not yet? Okay, just curious. And now it gives me great privilege and honor to introduce Ashley Reed, who is a National Merit Scholar. Ashley? Ashley, would you like to make the rounds here and congratulate, and so that people can congratulate you? And have you made any decisions about your future?
Applied early decision to Yale, waiting on Pitt.
Early decision to Yale and waiting?
I put up 14 schools, Lehigh, Villanova.
14 schools. Congratulations on that. And Yale being your first choice?
Yes, we'll see what happens.
We'll see, okay.
That's fabulous.
Can't go wrong with Pitt.
You can't go wrong with it.
With Pitt.
It's one of his schools.
Going just a little bit off the agenda, one other piece of sort of communication, sort of presentation is the EAEA, the Eastern Area Education Association, also sent over a fruit basket this evening, or a fruit display recognizing
Edible arrangement.
Yes, edible
arrangements. Yes.
recognizing also the board members that were leaving, and congratulating them for their service and their time here.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, great.
Now done.
Okay. Well, one thing that, are the parents of the individuals who we recognized, if you're here, would you just stand up so we could congratulate you and recognize you as well? Anyone here? Thank you. Terrific. Thank you for coming. And more good things will happen this spring, right, Mr. Cuck? We have there's usually a celebratory dinner where we honor the merit scholars throughout the IU who are so designated. So, thank you all very much. And I think that concludes the awards and presentations this evening. Oh, yes, okay. We're going to move on to Mr. Prokufsak. And I would like him, if he would, to come forward and just share with the board some information related to the fall sports season. Mr. Prokufsak.
First of all, to the outgoing board members, thank you for everything you've done in support of athletics in the district. I know we worked together for some of us a longer time and some of us on a shorter time, so thank you for everything you've done. What a week. As Chris had mentioned, our mascot, he actually donated a doghouse to us. I don't know if you saw that on senior night. That was interesting. I got an email earlier that day and said, where can we put a doghouse at Cottingham? Well, when we pack 5,000 people in Cottingham, there's not much room for a doghouse, but we found a way to do that, and that was neat when he came out of there to reveal himself. We do things differently in Easton, as Mr. Reinhardt mentioned, and how the mascot travels and things we do. The next week or two will show how different we are and what we do in our traditions, and we keep that going. But what was unique is last night, went over to the freshman and JV football game over at Phillipsburg, and believe it or not, I don't want to say this in public, but I will, they're just like us over there. They are. They have the same mentality. In that game last night, the two games, both communities just love football. And when people went by that stadium last night, it was junior high JV, they got more people last night than they do at a lot of varsity football games. That many people. The pep bands were there. The students were there. What a great atmosphere for 9th and 10th grade football players, cheerleaders, students, and both communities to sort of start this week or week and a half of Thanksgiving details. Okay. Fall season athletics. I put together a brief description of what has happened so far in the fall. And the numbers after each sport are how many athletes we had on that team to start the year and then end the year. So we can see cheerleading, 16 on what we call the varsity spirit, game only 14, and junior high 19. Varsity cross country boys, we had 28 boys, finished with an 11-1 record. I believe the only loss was to Freedom, and Freedom had a great team this year. We finished third in the District 11 team tournament. Colin Aber, second in the PIAA championships. If my history is correct, Mickey Collins is our only ever cross-country champ in about 1970. Boy, we hope good health next year for Colin Aber to finish second. And he was about a half a step behind that other boy, which ended up being about I think a little bit less than a second or so, but that's not far in cross-country. Girls, we had 24. Again, 11-1 record. That loss was to Parkland. In the regular season, finished third also in District 11. They take the top two teams to the state. We lost to Emmaus by 1 point on that 2 years in a row. So they'll rebound, still some young girls to rebound for next year. Middle school cross country, 13 boys, 10 girls. Our middle school in our league doesn't keep a lot of scores and records. We don't keep championships. We're trying to keep that at a reasonable level where we don't have win-at-all-cost attitudes. So they only keep individual race times, but no true team records for middle school cross country. They compete about 4 times in the league, and then they go to 1 or 2 invitationals throughout the season. Varsity field hockey, 16 girls on the team, ended up 10-10, finished in the District 11 playoffs with a loss to Northampton. JV field hockey, 19 girls on that team, ended up 12-4. Middle school field hockey has 33 girls on it, and there we try to have an A and a B team in our league, and they ended up 10 wins, 2 losses, 3 ties. The B team sort of is difficult to keep track of because not all schools have a B team or enough to have games of true score and timing. So the B team we're not counting there. Varsity football, 55 players on that roster, only of 55 of varsity players. 10-2 right now, and we know we're going into the district finals on Friday at Parkland, 7 o'clock. And I believe in the newspaper, roughly the last 12 times we've played them, I think we won 9 and they won 3, something like that. It's pretty unbalanced, believe it or not, but great chance on Friday to get them again. We gave them their only loss earlier in the year. JV football, 50 players. Their record actually is 10-0. They did finish undefeated last night against Phillipsburg. Junior high, 56 players on that team. They finished undefeated also after last night's game. And middle school football, about 57 kids on that team. The A team was undefeated also, 7-0-1, and the B team finished 6-1. So when you look at that list of football records on down, we still have some great quality kids coming through that program. Golf, boys and girls are combined in that sport. We had 18 on there, and they finished with a 7-9 record. Varsity boys soccer, 24, record 11-10. They made it to the LVC finals, and they made it to the district playoffs, eventually losing there. JV boys, 21. They finished with a 12-3-3 record. Varsity girls, best season in history. They were the league champs over Parkland, and again district champs over Parkland. To beat Parkland 2 times in 1 year is unheard of in girls soccer. What a fantastic year they had. I believe their banquet is tonight going on right now. Junior varsity girls finished 9-6-3. Varsity girls tennis finished 4-12. Girls volleyball, 15 on the varsity, record of 6-10. Still some young girls on that team and some good quality coming up to hopefully rebound next year. JV girls volleyball had a record of 6-9, and you can see the middle school record down there. They did very well this year, and we're hoping that team helps to support that on the way up, and those wins come at the varsity level in the next few years. Total fall athletes in grades 7 through 12, we rostered about 578, and then we had cuts and kids who left the team at about 66. So that brings in, on the next slide, about 644 athletes originally came out for our teams, and we physicaled them. Budget purposes, by charging that $20 exam fee to offset our physician costs and the staffing to do those physicals in our lobby for the 2 days each season, we brought in $5,280. In the winter, we also collected $20 for a brand new physical, and then $5 for the research, again, to help pay the doctor and some of those other costs. I had the, if we go back to that slide quick, I had the trainers just do some insight to our injuries. High school, we treated about 365 kids. Anything that had to be documented and treatable, a major cut, ankle, knee, shoulder, whatever it was. The small things we don't document. And then the middle school, we had 345 sign in that room when they come in. Daily treatment of athletes averages about 35 at the high school and about 30 at the middle school, which includes taping and also before and after practice therapy sessions that we put on. Student-athlete accomplishments. When I talked to Mr. Reinhardt yesterday or the day before about coming here, a lot of our all-stars and things are just starting to come in now because even though we may be finished in some sports, other sports are still going. As the football chairman, we just picked league all-stars the other day. They were in the newspaper, so you'll see them throughout the newspaper in different areas of the media. And then we'll also get some District 11 awards coming out shortly. All state awards usually don't come out for a little bit later. I would anticipate we will have a few individual and a few team awards, I hope from our girls soccer team, our football team, and hopefully Colin Aber as a cross-country runner of his caliber. Revenue to date. Football, right now is the only thing that brings in our revenue in the fall season. We anticipate $130,000 each year. So far, I've collected about $121,000. That does not include our playoff game reimbursement we get. It would have been nice to have 2 or 3 games at Cottingham because we get a little extra, but we had to schedule buses to go away and we'll get reimbursed for some of that. And obviously the Thanksgiving Day game is a big money maker for us, and that's not near ready, and that's usually not done until all invoices are paid sometime in February or March, where I'll send a copy of that then to Mr. Simonetta once all bills are in and paid and done. Football season tickets this year, 1,174 $25 books to be exact were sold, and that's very, 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 very unique. Few schools even have a season ticket, let alone selling almost 1,200 of them at a clip. Most stadiums, you pay your $5 and walk in and sit wherever you want. Not here at Easton. Almost every seat in the middle of the stadium is gone, and those people fight to get those few general admission seats that are there. Thanksgiving sale starts tomorrow from 4 to 6 for the public sale, and I have 900 remaining for the public sale and about another 230 standing room tickets that have to be sold in order for me to be completely sold out for that game. Student tickets went on sale the last 2 days of the high school. Tomorrow and Thursday, they're on sale at the middle school 7-8, and then they'll come back to the high school Friday through next Wednesday to pick up any other sales. Those of you in the public that want to come out and support us, wrestling season tickets will go online starting December 4th through the 13th. The prices are up there for that. You get $1 discount by buying the season ticket package, and that's really enticed our people to do that because they can save a couple dollars by going to all the games and buying that up front. And boys and girls basketball, I have that available now also with the online ticketing that people can get $1 discount by buying all about 9 or 10 games in the boys and girls basketball season. Quick discussion on the league expansion and details. We have a principal athletic director meeting tomorrow morning. Mr. Cuck and I will be attending up at Whitehall, and we hope to bring back hopefully some finalized schedules, divisions, and maybe some other details that the principals may want to discuss and talk about. Okay? That is a quick synopsis of the fall season. Monday we have a big night down at Cottingham. You going to talk about that?
Sure.
I won't steal our thunder. I'll let Caitlin finish that up in that report. But Monday is going to be a neat night at Cottingham for those of you who want to come out on Monday night, see some more Easton Peaburg rivalry stuff. Any comments or questions?
No,
Yes.
I have a question. A group of people that I know very well who go to the games have said to me that since they raised the price of seniors to $3, that they've noticed, in their opinion, that there's less seniors coming, okay, because of the $3 sales. And I think something the board should look into. Also, there needs to be at least one rail in between those two areas. And, you know, we're talking a 2-inch rail going 6 feet and then a break and then another 6 feet and a break. I've seen that in different stadiums and in different high schools. You know, they could screw in and so forth because there are seniors not coming again because they can't walk up the steps. And, you know, the higher ones, it seems like the higher seats are not sold because in some cases the seniors can't get up there. So we might boost our revenue by having that one rail that sits those two, like you said, the two parts that are reserved seats, you know, and have that so it could serve both sides, and do just one on each side because I think that's important. I know I used to go to the games, and with my knees and so forth, it's very difficult for me to get
Okay.
up. And I know there's other senior citizens who come up to me and said the same thing, that they can't go anymore because there's nothing to hold on to.
Absolutely, Dr. Volcano. I make a motion that we remodel Cottingham.
Right.
Do I have a second?
Right.
No. We've heard, I think Mr. Case and I have looked at everything optionable and what we can possibly do, and I'm sure he'd have to consult Mr. Simonetta on what a possible plan would be down there,
Yeah,
if
and
anything.
you're not talking
Right.
a lot of money by putting in a rail.
Right.
Okay, and then also, I think you have to look at the number of seniors that are going, and if there's been any drop because of that $3, it's going to $3.
I don't think our revenue has dropped, or our ticket
No.
amount of people coming have dropped.
Right.
And I've worked with them on moving their seats lower if they wish to do
Okay,
that.
okay.
And try to accommodate them as much as we can.
I think that's important, because the
Yep.
seniors cannot get up there without at least one rail. Mr. Simonetta, you have to look into that, what it would
Dr.
cost.
Dr. Volcano?
Yes.
I believe once you go down the accessibility road, there's no halfway measures. You have to make it totally accessible for handicap. There's no, put 2 rails in here and let it go. That won't cut it. We're currently grandfathered.
Yes,
Once
I
you
know
start doing construction like that, we can get estimates from our consultants and stuff and what it would take, but
No, I understand that, but something has to be done because it is curtailing some seniors from going that would like to go. But a good job.
Yes.
Question for you, Jim.
Tom?
What can you tell us about the academic performance of the teams in the fall season or academic issues that were faced?
Mr. Cook and I did a report briefly, and we were going to present that, I believe it was in the spring, or the beginning of this year, and then things started to change, and we did a quick report, and he did run that, and the numbers that our athletes have compared to the average student is above and beyond every other student. Remember what they were offhand, Mr. Cook?
Yeah, Dr. Mercedes actually last year ran a report
Yeah.
for all sports teams for last school year. So this school year, we would do this, we could run the same report, and what we did was basically average GPA compared to average GPA of students that were as a whole. We didn't have specific participants and non-participants, but we'd be more than happy to run that report this school year and share last year's data with the board, and I can meet with Mr. Reinhardt about how to get that accomplished. And since you're leaving, I can get that information to you as well.
And you know
Thank you
what?
so much.
As you're talking about that, I mean, we're obviously expecting you for a lot more detail and everything in January on this. Maybe you can prepare some of that for the January meeting for the fall sports season, so that we do it by season and everything.
Sure. I think another thing is, for scholar athletes and all state kids, and any kind of recognition that obviously is coming down the line shortly, to bring those kids to the January board as well.
And that's what I almost thought Mr. Reinhardt was
I think
talking
that's
about.
really
We used to do the board honors
Yes.
up until about 5 or 6 years
Yes.
ago, and that started to take some time. But we can do that and understand we'll have about 5 or 6 coaches, and if they bring just a scholar athlete or somebody, we'd have to set that time aside for them to present. is
I
what
get
we
a
do.
tremendous big
Or would we
paycheck
wanna
for
do
being
that
on
on
the
a-
board, so bring them in, I'll be
We'd want to do
here.
that on a committee meeting, athletic committee. Either one, you let us
Either
know if
one.
you want to do
I like
athletic
that.
committee
I think it's
or
important.
at the board meeting. Okay? And we can get that academic stuff for the January meeting.
That would be the committee meeting.
Sure.
Yeah, because that's where everybody has a lot more time to talk.
Okay,
You'll be ready?
that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
Moving on, anything under communications? Reports, the idea, Dr. Mercedes.
There is no November board meeting, and we reported on activities in October. Just a reminder that they do have a mid-December meeting, and they would greatly appreciate having the new Easton rep at that meeting.
Mr. Riley, the library?
Mr. President, the library board met on Tuesday, November 12th at 3 p.m. in their boardroom. Regular business was discussed. Only 2 things of note. Among the many things that the library does for homeschool and preschool and such, they had a special program on Southside. The children crept into the Southside branch for a Halloween program on October 19th. 15 children attended the program, in which they heard ghostly stories, played at witch hat toss game, and took home a trick-or-treat bag. Also, the library received its auditor's report, and everything came out good. It's should have it electronically, along with the other minutes and pertinent information that was sent to you electronically. Thank you.
CIT.
Yes. 2 things for CIT. I think it was November 13th that they had an open house. And according to Ron Roth, and I was up there for a little bit, it was the best open house they've ever had as far as kids coming with parents. They did a lot of visitations with the schools prior to that open house, which seemed to obviously just reinforce kids to come up there and take a look at things. There's some great programs. I think they're on the right track to get some numbers back, and I really like what he's doing up there. I think he's doing a tremendous job. The other thing is, in the world of education, we started discussing budget. And we're trying to do everything we can at CIT, and Ron Roth is trying to do everything he can at CIT to bring it in. That would be nice 0. That would be great. But we're looking at a lot of different things and variables to see if that can happen. If it's any increase at all, obviously it'll be minimal. I believe in January, those people will start coming in and presenting their budgets to us. As every year, Ron does a great job, and again, we're looking at some things, and that budgetary process for educators is obviously now in full measure. Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, and I would just like to say that we have the open house generated enough money through the scholarship, through the CIT Foundation to pay out 2.5 scholarships to students, and that's a good thing. That we could have an open house and then generate money for scholarships. And the community college gave $500 for a scholarship for us to chance off, and that they could use it for tuition, books, or whatever. And I thought that was fantastic. It was a good way of advertising, plus a good, and it just so happens that somebody won it who is going to the community college next year. And the other thing I want to note is that some of the money we are getting back, and Ron will probably discuss that, and I have a thing that I have to get to Mike, a documentation we were given. One of the things they made money on was solar energy. They were selling back, correct me if I'm wrong, they were selling back solar energy to the grid. And because they weren't using the whole school, and they could shut down a great part of the school and then work on this part, shut this part down and move it around. I think it's something Easton talked about 3 years ago, and we left it drop. But for the high school and Shawnee, I think that the board has to look into that. And that money doesn't come from the Department of Ed, it comes from the Department of Energy and out of Washington. So we really have to look into solar panels, because we don't want to be on the we don't want to be in the behind, we want to be up front with that.
I think when they did it at CIT, there were some grant dollars
Yes.
available. And I think over the last several years, those I hate to use the term, evaporated,
Yeah.
but I think they have.
Yeah, except though,
And that's a
especially
concern.
with the Department of Ed, they've totally evaporated, but there are some monies left in the Department of Energy. And so you look that way, instead of looking in the Department of Ed. At one time, the Department of Ed did have the money and it was totally used up. But there are some grants in the Department of Energy that we should be looking into.
Anything else? No. Moving on to the community college. You were there? Please go ahead.
Yes, I would say the meeting went well, okay? We passed a few things. We're very set on working for the public. We had 2 programs that were not working out, and we dropped those 2 programs. We weren't getting the enrollment we should. And normally when they do that, sometimes they look at other programs to start. I've seen that now. I've been on the 8 years, and so I've seen that happen, where they drop some programs and then there's some professors looking at maybe another program to start. But the fact that the board does its work and saying that, it's time to move on, I think that's good. And and I think they had a district meeting in, I'm not sure where, Bob, it was up north.
Oh, you're talking the regional meeting?
Yeah, the regional meeting.
Yes, that was up in Luzerne.
Luzerne County, and the president and the board members could go, but that was something like 3 to 11 o'clock, and I guess there were maybe 2 or 3 board members did go, along with the president.
5 till 10.
What?
5 o'clock till 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, after you were up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, they left at 3 o'clock, and then they got back here. I was told by one of the people that went, it was almost 12 o'clock. So that's a lot of time to put in when you start at 3. Our boards normally start at 4, unless you have a committee meeting that starts at 3, and then we go to 8 or 9 o'clock, and so forth. I think the community college is working. It's got over 10,000 full-time members now. Okay, and that's fantastic. I'm not afraid to say this. I think if you compared us to all the other community college, we would be number 1 in the state, and we're in the top 10 in the nation, according to our president. And as far as endowments and so forth, we're one of the top 3 in the nation. It's amazing what we have here. And the fact that all our credits are acceptable by all the state schools, now, by law now, that's another thing that's fantastic. So you want to encourage the kids because they're going to save money by starting there. That's the big thing, that the teachers and the principals encourage the kids to start there, save the money, then go on to whatever school they want to. And I think you would agree with what I said about us being up there. You know a little more than I do. Mr. Fainall is the vice chairman of the board, and maybe our next chairman, who knows? But am I correct, we're up there with those
Yes.
numbers?
Absolutely. Just to add to
Yeah.
what you were saying, Achieve the Dream,
Yes,
remember that?
yes,
We were renewed for our second term on that, which is tough to get through the first. Not only Achieve the Dream being renewed, but also that it's a leader college, which puts it among the top in the rankings for the state as well as for the country, where we do different things. And it helps because we received the National Endowment for Humanities and everything, which with those funds coming in, you must do and offer programs to the public. And over the last couple of years, they've been some rather interesting programs with authors and everything else coming on the campus.
yes. And I have no problem, maybe every couple of months, coming back and giving part of the report along with Bob. And I don't know if John, I'll talk to John and see, maybe we could sort of rotate it.
John's going to join us for the January meeting.
Okay, all right, that's great. So, I have no problem coming back at once every couple of months and giving a report on that. And also saying something about CIT's, their foundation. They have over $50,000, and we intend to give out 5 scholarships this year. So I think that's great for the kids.
Okay, moving on. Foundation for Easton.
Okay, Foundation, we are busy at work getting prepared to launch. Well, not that we haven't launched, just getting some of the administrative things together, incorporating doing things like that, organizational type deals. Due to some scheduling conflicts, we have not had our November meeting yet. We're going to be combining our November and December meetings. We're meeting on December 9th. There's a lot of good plans coming out from the foundation. Just stay tuned. It's going to be some good stuff coming.
Thank you. Legislative carries on with us this evening. Mr. Cox.
It is my pleasure to announce Ms. Caitlin Rodriguez, Student Council President.
Thank you. Good evening. Just a quick update in the high school. We had our homecoming kickoff dance last Saturday at the Palace Center. It was a success. We sold about 350 tickets, and there were approximately 315 people in attendance. The executive board also hosted a luncheon with Peaburg to plan the Thanksgiving festivities on November 6th at the Estonian. On Monday, we will be starting a new tradition of having a firefighters game, then the police game will follow, and then the powder puff game. On Tuesday, the seniors will collect wood all day, and then they'll sleep out to protect the wood. And Wednesday will be the pep rally, and then the parade and bonfire will follow at night. We also will be having a food drive shortly, and we're organizing multiple community service projects such as volunteering at Safe Harbor. Some upcoming fundraisers for us will be a fundraiser at Five Below starting Black Friday, and it'll last a week. And we also will be doing a poinsettia and wreath fundraiser. We'll provide flyers and we'll give them to the students and the staff for both of the fundraisers. The senior class has mainly been working on getting the wood together for the bonfire, and the underclassmen have been selling tradition t-shirts and collecting class dues for fundraisers. Everyone's extremely excited for next week, and we're ready to beat Peaburg. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Gilligan.
Good evening. Thank you. The high school PTSA is looking for donations for their Coke wagon at the bonfire, and have asked me to share information about how you could contribute to it if you wish. It's a lengthy, I would read the email address, but there are numbers and letters.
Oh,
and
yeah, okay.
It won't make sense.
Yeah.
If you're
Pass
interested
this
and you want to
around.
write it down, you can. Yeah, pass
Just-
it along.
I'll just-
I just
if
thought I'd
you
bring
wanna
one
see it, but
copy.
it's really
I don't
long.
know whether there's a way that that can be online or whether that's
Well,
something that
you
you're
might be
also
able to
working
send
on.
it to us by email.
Okay, yeah, I
If you
could send it to
contact
each one of
Joan,
you.
she might
Sure.
be able to send
Sure.
it to the board members.
Okay, will do. If you want to just make note then that it's coming, I'll send it to you tomorrow. A number of schools are now partnering with Sodexo in their annual food drive, collecting items for the Easton community. I know for sure of Shawnee, Tracy, and March who are doing this, but I believe that there are others as well. Justin runs its own really impressive food drive. I'm not sure if they're partnering with Sodexo directly. The president of Tracy Elementary PTA asked me to say that Tracy parents are looking forward to meeting with teachers over the next week to hear how their children are performing in the school so far. She says that considering the large class sizes in second, third, and fourth grades, our Tracy teachers are doing a phenomenal job, working very hard to meet their students' needs. Students at Tracy will have an opportunity to shop for family members at their annual holiday bazaar the first week of December. And families will have an opportunity to sponsor a Tracy family by taking a card from the Giving Tree and donating holiday gifts for them. March is doing a similar sort of holiday drive, and I believe other schools are as well. At March, today was Grandparents' Day. At last report, I heard that 175 grandparents were planning to storm March.
No, that's great.
Sounds like a lot. An update on March. March third graders have been divided into their new classrooms. So the third grade went from 3 third grade teachers to 4. And the students who are going to be in with the new teacher met her yesterday. We all welcome Mrs. Joins to the school. We're really delighted. I haven't heard a single parent who isn't relieved to have another teacher added. So we appreciate that. It should be noted that the third grade class size was 29 when we started the school year, and that this is a group that has always had 4 teachers at that level. So going to 4 teachers was just resuming what they've had at every step along the way. Maybe a lesson for avoiding that in the future. It's caused a fair amount of disruption, though it's disruption that we're happy for, because we're all very happy to have the extra teacher coming on. She'll start December 3rd. That's when the students. Another thing I would like to note is that the process was very transparent with parents. Parents were invited to say whether they wanted to have their child stay in the classroom, move to the new teacher, or whether they would be comfortable with either. Letters went home. It was a very welcoming process. So kudos to whoever was involved in laying that out. The process at March is to relieve crowding. It's just an instance of the difficult challenges that the board members who are both staying and coming on board will have to deal with. And they continue to be very worrying to us in the PTA. We ask that incoming board members and continuing board members to please take a look down the road and not try to solve the problem 1 year at a time. It takes time to take drastic steps to sell a building or to redistrict or consolidate or to do any of the things that maybe we can do, but let's look at this process holistically and not give up now before we have a chance to turn the corner. The next board meeting will be the board's reorganization meeting. I'd like to wish good luck to all of you who I've seen monthly. Good luck to our outgoing board members, and maybe at least as much good luck to the incoming ones. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tara.
Okay, and Jen is not with us this evening. Attached are the standing committee reports, and that brings us up to the public to be heard. If there's somebody that would like to address any of the agenda items, and please note that there were a couple items added at the end, namely letters 10K and 15D. I would ask that you please stand, come forward, and address the board. Address them. And there should be something, a sheet to sign in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sign-in sheet.
finish this, not to keep you. My name is Judith Dickerson, and I am a resident of the Easton Area School District, and more importantly, I am the director of the Easton Cops and Kids Reading Room, Children's Literacy Program. And I'm here before you because I've not had the opportunity to meet and greet all of the members of the board officially. And I want to thank, it's an appropriate time, I think, for me to thank outgoing members who have attended some of our literacy-based initiatives that have taken place in the school systems. We have been in existence for 2.5 years, and we have had several initiatives, literacy-based initiatives, in 2 of the schools in the district, specifically Paxenosa Elementary School and also Cheston Elementary School, working with the reading specialists and the principals. I come before you because of not an agenda item, but a correction to the minutes of the previous meeting. You had taken action and voted on the approval of a field trip by the students at Paxenosa, and I would like for it to be corrected in the minutes. It was approved for the children at Paxenosa, grades 1, 2, and 3, to go on a field trip to the Cops and Kids Reading Room at Northampton Community College in Bethlehem. The children would learn about the benefits of the community resource, receive a book, and hear about the programs offered. The correction is that the children from Paxenosa will be coming on a field trip on December 11th and 12th to the Easton Reading Room, the Easton area, Cops and Kids Reading Room. We are here, we're very active, and we're looking forward to expanding our involvement in the schools as the program continues to grow. And this field trip that's been planned through the reading specialist at Paxenosa is an example of some of the initiatives that we've had. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Could you ask the speaker to give the address? It's 900 block of Washington Street, but I don't remember the
Yes.
exact address.
I'm sorry. We're located at the Easton Area Community Center, and the address is 901 Washington Street in Easton.
Thank you. Would somebody else like to address the board this evening? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Fainall. My name is Sandy Volcano, and I am chairman of the Easton Area Democratic Committee. And on behalf of its members, we would like to congratulate those that are leaving. And thank you very much for your service and your long hours that you've put on this board. And we hope that you enjoy good health in your retirement from this board and do things that you want to do now and not have to be tied up so much with that. With the school district, but we know that you have had, several of you had your own expertises in your own fields, and we are very proud that we were able to play a part in getting you here and hopefully making it as pleasant as we could, and we hope that you do enjoy your future when you're not here with all the hours that you did. But thank you again, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Sandy.
And is there anyone else this evening? I'm not seeing any hands. We're waiting for, based on Ms. Dickerson's comments, we're doing a quick check here.
Years ago, I couldn't get her to stand up any place and speak.
Okay, we do have, we did look up the minutes and everything, because the first thing on our approval here this evening are the minutes from that October 29th meeting. And noting her changes, I will ask for a motion to approve the minutes with the noted changes that were mentioned.
So moved, yeah.
So moved in a second there. Any other comments or corrections? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Under executive sessions, we have the executive sessions as listed. Can we have a motion?
Motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? take retirement separately. Can I have a motion?
Motion with regret.
Second with regret.
Thank you. Have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Continuing on, I'm going to take the Act 93 Administrator Support Staff Evaluation Compensation Plan separate. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This is a plan that we have to thank our Act 93 group for being patient with us and everything. It's been a long time, a lot of discussion over the last 9 months, and previous to that, 18 months. So we do appreciate your time and your patience with us. With that being said, we have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments? Hearing none. All those, whoop, sorry.
I'm going to be voting no, and I want to explain
Please.
Why. Two items in this don't meet with my approval. One is there is no rush, as far as I understand, on executing this agreement. Therefore, I think from a governance standpoint, it is much healthier for the new board coming in to approve it, because they're going to have to live with the consequences financially of the decision. I've always been against these kind of 11th hour, and I think the public perhaps gets the wrong impression that way. I think it'd be much healthier if the new board takes up that matter. Secondly, this is, I think, the last contract for the next several years.
No.
Oh,
The support,
yes, right.
yeah, the Paris?
It's one of the last major ones.
Yes.
Before the next large one. And there's, I think, still an inadequate resolution of medical plan expenses. The negotiating committee did a great job working very hard at getting to what they believe is a fair resolution. But even though we've made steps in the medical plan, those steps are still rather small compared to what the general public faces in medical plan cost. At the rate of change, it will be a long time before there is really an equitable medical plan. So for those two reasons, I'll be voting no on this.
Thank you. Other
Okay,
comments?
I will also be voting no on this. I share Dr. Moskaitis' feeling that since this would not be starting this year, correct? The merit pay and so forth.
It will be effective for the 13, 14 evaluations.
$13, $14. Next year you're talking about.
Well, for what the increase will be next.
Okay.
next-
Well, we've had all of those documents listed as file attachments added to the agenda. Most of them today, this afternoon. I didn't have a chance to read all of them. I don't know if anybody else did, but this is how sometimes boards get into situations that they can't get out of. So, again, I think this would be something that the new board would be better left to deal with, and since they will be here for 4 years coming.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I would say, I'm in favor of the part that a new teachers, a new, say, assistant principal coming in would not get to pay that person who's been here 10 years. That's part of this agreement. And I think that's fair. I mean, the new person should be here, and the person that's got 10 or 15 years should be up here. Okay, that's 100% what I agree with that. But one thing I don't agree with, and as a former teacher, is any form of merit pay. That's something that I think could cause a lot of trouble for the board. And it's something that most teachers are against. And the one part of this I think is terrific, but there's no way I could vote for merit pay.
Pat, you realize this isn't for the teachers though, right?
No, but this is for,
Okay.
it's still a form of merit pay for the assistant principals and principals.
Not just principals.
No, the whole,
Okay.
the whole Act 93. It's still something I don't want to see get started. That's my reason.
And I guess since you mentioned it, just for general information here, yes, this does include, there was a fixed percentage increase, and along with that, there is a merit pay compensation plan that's in here. There's averaging that's in here, looking across the county and everything, seeing where things are. There have been some significant changes on how this was put together compared to the plan over the last few years and everything. And it is a 3-year agreement. If you recall, back in October, we did approve pay increases where we had announced that it was 3.5 or based if you were below or above $60,000, a different range. And so this was the last piece of the pie, basically, getting all the wording, getting all the analysis done. So that is why it's made it here this evening. But we do have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Our last Act 93 agreement, we've kept our employees waiting at least 7 months to finalize it after their last contract expired. Now we're going on 5, closer to 6 months since their last contract expired. I think it's unfair to our employees to keep them hanging like that. This has been in the works for months. Just because it's just appearing on the docket, the agenda now, doesn't mean it hasn't been discussed for some time. In the long run, it does provide us a savings. I think merit pay is a good idea. It's been used in other industries, other areas of employment where it's a great tool to reward our best employees. I think it's something that we should bring eventually to the teacher side. I think if we don't do it now, it's just going to be harder to do it later. We'll be voting for it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will be voting for it, and a number of reasons. Over the last several years, our administration, Act 93, has taken a freeze, has taken another freeze. And we've been trying to work on this contract for the last, I'm going to say a couple of years, where we started implementation, we've looked at local salaries, we've tried not to be the highest, not to be the lowest, but to be fair. I think those are important things. If you look at what administrators do, it is beyond anybody's expectations what they do on a daily basis, believe me. And to say that we're going to award you through the evaluation process, to me is fine. To me, that's a great implementation due to the fact that we want to know what we're doing, where we can improve, and move forward. In the past, basically, we could look around and say, you're satisfactory, you're satisfactory, you're satisfactory. And there wasn't a lot of time and effort put into the evaluation process of our professional employees. That is obviously now changing. And if change is good, this is good. This is exceptional. This is the way we need to do. We also have a checks and balances. So if you're evaluated, somebody else is going to look at that evaluation from a team component and say, you know what, maybe we should look at this a little closer. What do you mean by this statement, and move forward. But I think because of the reorganization and putting people in the places where their strengths are the most positive, and now evaluating those strengths and pursuing those strengths on a yearly basis can only make this district administratively and principal and Act 93 better. That's why I'm voting yes.
Any further comments? With that being said, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay.
Please?
Mrs. Matthews?
No.
Dr. Macegas?
No.
Mr. Pendergast? Yes. Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mr. Ryder?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderburg?
Yes.
Dr. Volcano?
No.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes. 5-3. Motion carries. We have the votes. At this point, I'll just put him a little bit on the spot. I can do that, Vidge?
Sure.
Vidge is the spokesman for the Act 93 group, and I think we spent a lot of time, and again, I'm putting you on the spot because I think we want to thank you absolutely that we brought it to this point, and that we can now move on, and you have 3 years that we can, continue to see and how things can grow. So if you have any comments, fine. If not, thank you.
I just want to say thank you to everybody for recognizing the hard work that Full Act 93 puts in each and every day in all those different areas in the school district. We're looking forward to continuing those discussions and working to improve the way we do things here in the school district. So thank you on behalf of roughly 50 board members.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on. I think at this point I can go through resignations and all the way through 10K, which is the appointment of 2 new individuals this evening. So if
Motion.
I have a motion and a second, any comments? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Under academics, again, I think we can go A through D.
Mr. President, I move 11A through D.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Under policy, can we do A and B? And we reviewed them at the committee meeting. Do we have a
Mr.
motion?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Under buildings and grounds, we had heard at the committee meeting from Josh on the repairs and everything. We have to pay our bills. That would always be nice. Our vendors appreciate that. And establishment of new student activities. So everything through D. May we have a motion?
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did 13 plus 14 through D. Motion and second are okay?
So moved, yes.
Thank you. Any comments? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? I will take the next couple separately. Four different motions here. There's an adjudication for an employee. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I need in that motion whether to approve or disapprove.
Motion to approve.
Second to approve.
Thank you. I can't ask really for comments, so all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? We have the resignation, and I think we should, she has served us well there, and that's Margaret Kuvo in representing this board on the Easton Public Library. Can we have a motion to accept her resignation?
Mr. President, I move 15B.
Thank
And
you.
I second that.
With regret.
Thank you. With regrets for the first and
regret.
second?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other comments? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? C, with that resignation being accepted, there is an opening there, and it has been indicated by both the head librarian and by Mr. Riley that he is interested in that position. Therefore, I'm going to ask that we could move to appoint Mr. Riley as of December 4th, when his term ends on this board.
So moved. I think that would be an excellent,
We probably could.
yes.
Second.
Maybe we'll have to make
Yes.
arrangements on one evening.
I move that would be an excellent replacement.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
Mr. President, I'll be abstaining from the vote.
Thank you. Understood. Any other comments? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? So, your life continues in education in another form.
Thank you.
Even though you've been there for a while, we know that. Lastly, we've added 15D, which is a motion, and I'll read this off, because this is very important. This has been something, and we need some acknowledgement on this. It's a motion to approve the administration to move forward on the creation of a foundation or endowment for the receipt and management of funds from the Shrin TIF and other sources. If I can have a motion.
So moved.
I will ask for comments. 1 second. I will come back to that. For everybody's information, this is something that started a few years ago when Mr. Shrin had a vision, a dream of what could happen to somewhat of the northern end of Palmer Township and the development. If you drive up that way today, that development has since started. A little over 2 years ago, right before the current board that you see sitting here, the previous board, which at the time, and those 4 board members are currently sitting on here now, and that is Carrie, Tim, Pat, and Bob, they had agreed to a TIF resolution where we forgo some of the tax dollars, the increased tax dollars initially, for the purpose of the development up there. And then in future years to come, those tax dollars will start to flow into the district. About the first meeting of this board, so they did all the labor of getting it here. The first meeting of this board, it was approved with the agreement also in there that Mr. Schrin, upon the sale of properties, and there's some other details with it and everything, would be contributing a portion of those sales up to a potential of $4 million to the Easton Area School District. There are some stipulations on the use of it and everything, but again, it's used for the betterment of the educational programs. And it also ties in with the CIT. So with that being said, this is the next step in creating the tool for the purpose of receiving those funds, and then setting up a board and everything that will administer and go forward with some of the ideas and concepts that he had stipulated at that point in time. So over the next few months, that will start to take shape and be in place for when the sale of some of those properties occur. With that, I will address any other comments from people.
Just, so it's noted to the public, this is separate and apart from the Foundation for Easton. I want to make that very, very, very clear. This is a separate foundation to receive TIP dollars, rather than the community dollars, I guess I'll call them, that the Foundation for Easton will be receiving.
Any other comments? I thank all the board members that were involved, previous and currently, in making this happen. It is a great thing for the district. With that, there is a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? And with that, is there any public to be heard on non-agenda items? No hands. Any other business by board members?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir?
I just want to briefly say thank you to Ms. Matthews and Mr. Riley, Dr. Volcano, and Dr. Mosquitis, for being here for 2 years that I've been here. Dr. Volcano and Mr. Riley a lot longer. But miss going back and forth with you. But I'm sure
Me too.
you exchange emails or something that was out anyway.
Or text messages.
Text messages. So thank you guys very much.
Thanks, Frank.
Any other comments?
Yes, I too would like to take this opportunity for the outgoing board members to congratulate them, thank them. You've done a great job. Janet, we've worked together in the academics committee. I've enjoyed our time and effort together.
As have I.
Hopefully, every once in a while, the blind squirrel does find an acorn and we do something correct. And for the service of Pat and Tim, outstanding on how you've done it. I've appreciated it. Tim's the kind of person that when he speaks, we all listen. Does a tremendous job. And for your service, Pat, thank you so much. And I've enjoyed tremendously working with you. It's been an honor, a pleasure. You're an intelligent person. You make some great comments. And we don't always agree on them, but you make me think. And I love that. Thank you, sir.
And I guess at this point, I do get the last word.
I have one comment.
Oh, boy, okay. Okay, Bob?
I missed my turn up front, but in a summary, I would like to say, often you read in the paper how a board director is a thankless job. That is not true. It can't be thankless when you're dealing with one of the most important values in a community, which is the education of students. And that's certainly got to be true for all the people who are working within the district. So I would encourage the public to consider serving. While it might be many hours, it is not thankless. It is actually a very good experience, and I thank my fellow board members for helping me understand more about my community. I would leave you with the thought, often we talk about finances, and you might think that that's the biggest danger to the survival of this district. I don't believe so. Taxpayers and parents will eventually pay more taxes. What they will have a hard time seeing, though, is continued failure. And I would just ask those of you that are staying on in the new administration that a decade of failure at the high school does not bode well for having the confidence and faith of the public. Many people say, well, it's just one test, and I've heard this for 2 years. It might be one test, but it is the test that people from the outside can look at with the only assurance that it's the same test from district to district. Regalsville did not happen by accident. And I would just ask, and I'll be looking for progress, not only that we meet absolute values of success, but that we show progress year to year. And that hasn't happened. I know from Mr. Reinhardt's comments that I think he is going to be looking at this, and I can think of no one better equipped as an experience of a superintendent and a principal for that task. I'm somewhat surprised that there hasn't been more focus from the public on that fact. And I would think there needs to be. So, thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, as this should be my last school board meeting as a school board member, I have some parting comments. First, I'd like to thank my wife and family for their support over the last 12 years. I'd like to thank the voters, especially of those of Region 2, who not only elected me once, but also 2 subsequent times. I appreciate their trust and confidence in me and hope that they believe that I have tried my best to make the same common sense decisions that they would have as they would have sat here and tried to balance the needs of the citizenry, the needs of the students and parents, and the needs of the faithful employees of the district. I'd like to thank both present and past administrators, directors, secretaries, principals, vice principals, and the rest of the Act 93 staff. I would also like to thank the support staff, such as bus drivers, who bring our children to and from school safely, the custodians who ensure that our children have a clean, safe place to learn in, our maintenance people who make every effort to make things work when they need to work, the cafeteria workers who ensure our children have a safe, healthy meal to fuel their learning, nurses and security personnel who aid in protecting the children, and all the rest of the rank and file, which are too numerous to mention right now. These are the unsung heroes of education. They often go unnoticed. But without them, the teachers could not do their job to teach. I thank them for stepping up to the plate and doing the right thing, especially during the latest financial crisis. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten, at least by me. When it comes to the role of school board member, there are goals and objectives everyone wants to get done, but sometimes they don't get done because of other pressing matters. There's concepts and ideas that may be considered too old-fashioned or too advanced for today's educational system. Please indulge me for a brief time, not to lecture or to give advice, but to give some voice to some thoughts I have had while sitting here for the past 12 years. To the future and current board members, my first year on the school board, we began the first of several discussions on school dress. And I had proposed going to a school uniform, as Philadelphia and New York had done. But there was no support for it at that time. Today, we see Allen has moved in that direction. Perhaps in the future, we can take that idea up again and maybe go look at school uniforms. It's a tool in the toolbox that we could possibly use and make it work effectively for us. Perhaps we would not have. Perhaps we would have avoided some of the problems that we have today. Cottingham Stadium, as historical and loved as it is woefully obsolete. A new stadium around the artificial turf field at the high school would be a better choice. There would be improved parking. There'd be more use for it as a area for tournaments and such. Doing that, we could then expand Paxenosa, bump it out to the 12th Street line, build a new Cottingham Annex building over the old site of the old Cottingham Stadium, and connect the two buildings with a bridge, such as they done on Allentown on 17th Street there. One of the things we could do with that new Cottingham Annex was maybe create a STEM charter or magnet school. That's of interest today. Another thing I could do if I could wave my magic wand is bring 5th and 6th grade back to the elementary realm. Continue planning to expand Cheston Elementary School and build a new Palmer Elementary School, and that would ensure enough room for the 5th and 6th graders. I would then turn to the middle school campus and turn it back into a true junior high school, bringing 9th grade back to that realm. That would free up much needed space at the high school and eliminate many of the systemic socialization problems that our children face today by being advanced to 5th graders being moved up out of the elementary sooner than many people think they should be. If we don't take that course, perhaps we could take a page out of the community college's playbook and transform our current high school gym into classroom space, and build a new gym that would accommodate the whole high school student body at one time, as well as a new auditorium, which we all know is needed, but we know there's no funds for. This would be the ultimate goal of decreasing the overcrowding at the high school. And I would not give up on the idea of an Easton Area School District online distant learning. We tried that last year. There were some problems with it, but those problems can be worked out in the future, I believe. A little bit to the public. It's easy to throw around accusations that we as a board do not care about anything except sports, or that we don't care about your pet subject or your intramural or extracurricular activities, or any number of the trite cliches that we've heard over the years. You're just dead wrong. We care about the whole picture of education. Most of us seek to provide the best educational experience possible with the limited resources we have, taking in the needs of all stakeholders, taxpayers, students, and employees. The choices for this juggling act are never easy. And I'll just leave it at that. Finally, for the public, I would ask them to stop electing current and former teachers, administrators, coaches, PTA activists, etc. I personally believe that government works better when the average plain folk step up and get involved and use the common sense that God gave them to run government. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I got a short comment. In the 12 years I sat here, I seen many successes, but I also seen many failures. Things that we tried to do that didn't come about. And I think that the board has to be what they want the schools to be. And we have a unique staff here. We work well. I would like to see, we keep our buses, don't farm them out, because that doesn't work. I've seen it in 2 other school districts I taught in. Our staff is terrific. I'd like to thank 2 people that have helped me in some projects we did together, Joan Schaefer and Carol. Joan and Carol have really helped me, especially 2 or 3 years ago when we did the Veterans Project. It was something that we enjoyed doing, and to those 12 veterans we honored, it was amazing. And those 2 ladies made it happen. Mr. Reinhardt is right. He said he wouldn't stay unless the 2 secretaries stayed, because he didn't want to train 2 new secretaries. Well, you have 2 A+ secretaries that you don't have to worry about, because every time I needed help, I picked up the phone and they were there, and they knew ahead of time what to do. So I thank them. I thank the teachers that I worked with. I still want to stay active, if Mr. Cuck needs help, I'm going to be there for you. That committee that you're going to get together, I said I would still be on it. I still stay on it. I still will. And I do encourage people to run for this board. I mean, it's not when you have one or two people running for 2 seats or 1 seat, it doesn't seem right. We want people to run. It is hard. It's a lot of work, and but it's rewarding. And I'm sorry to the public that in 1.5 years my health hasn't been the best. One of the reasons that I think, you know, in a sense, I'm glad I'm leaving the board because of that, but I'll still be around to help. And so I thank all of you and the whole staff of the school district.
Okay, thank you. And final closing, we will say thank you to the 4 members who are leaving us and everything. We wish you well. As you look back, you have to look at the diversity of this board, which had started and stemmed some creative thinking through some of the tough times and everything. There were some, during the last year, a lot of creative thinking that had to go on, a lot of things that happened. And you looked at, and just looking at the 2 years that some of us were on this board, of the changes that have occurred in this district. And you have to think back about those, whether from foundations, to new superintendents, to changes in the building, changes in the curriculum and everything. Everything that's happened, we've added and changed some of the staff as we look around the room and everything. All that we believe is to be positive. So there are a lot of good things, and you know, you're right, you may take a step back, and hopefully every time you do, you're taking 3 more forward. And you have to believe over your years, all the years that you've served, one way or the other, that that's continued to happen all the time. So for that, I'd like to close and say thank you for your service. Enjoy whatever you follow up after this. Thank you. And can I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. President, I move to adjourn.
And I second it.
Thank you. Appropriately done. All those in favor? Aye, and we're out of here.